So we're going to start with number 1. Number 1 is 7 3/5, and it is asking us to convert that. So we need to convert it to an improper fraction. So when we convert, we take the 5 and multiply it by 7, which gives us 35. And then we add the number on the top, which is 3. So 7 3/5 is 38/5. Number 2, 6 5/8. We take the number on the bottom, we multiply it by the whole number part. 6 times 8 is 48. And then we add the numerator. And so 6 5/8 is the same as 53/8. Number 3 is 9 2/10. We take 10 and multiply it by 9 and get 90. Add the numerator, and so this becomes 92/10. But 92/10 is not simplified. We always need to simplify. 92 is 2 times 46, and 10 is 2 times 5. So you should see that 2 goes into 10 and 2 goes into 92. If you don't know that 2 times 46 is 92, then you should have your calculator out and you should be punching in 92 divided by 2. So the 2's divide out, and we're left with 46/5. 46/5. All right, I'm going to do one more, 2 2/4. So we take 4 times 2, which is 8, and add the 2, which gives us 10/4. 10/4 is not simplified because 2 will go into the top and bottom. 10 is 2 times 5. 4 is 2 times 2. And we get 5 halves. 5 halves. All right, number 5 is 6 1/9. I want you to do number 5. I want you to do number 5 and tell me what you get. Correct answer is 55/9. 55/9. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55. All right, look at number 6. We have 5 5/7. 5 5/7. So tell me what you get as an answer. All right. Yes, if we take 7 and multiply it by 5, we get 35. Then we add 5. That gives us 40/7. Make sure that you see that that denominator is 7. Okay. All right, we're going to skip a little bit, and we're going to go down to the next section. We're going to go down to the next section, and it says they want us to convert. We want to take 113/12 and change it to a mixed number. So we're converting, this time, an improper fraction into a mixed number. Okay, so to do this process, we have to come over here and take 12 and divide it into 113. All right, I am not going to do all that long division. I'm going to use my calculator and take 113 divided by 12, and we get, when you take in your calculator and you punch 113 divided by 12, you get 9.41 da 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 da. So that means that 12 will go into 113 9 whole times. 9 whole times. So I need to know what is 12 times 9. Well, 12 times 9 is 108. So I'm taking 12 times 9 and getting 108. So to know what the remainder is right here, then I need to take 113 and subtract 108. So when I take 113 and I subtract 108, I get 5. So the remainder is 5. So to write the mixed number, I write 9 as my whole number part. My remainder is the numerator of the fractional part, and the denominator stays the same. So 113 twelfths is 9 and 5 twelfths. All right, that was number 1 on the second section. Let's look at number 2, 19 over 2. So I need to do 2 into 19, or 19 divided by 2. When you take your calculator and punch in 19 divided by 2, you get 9.5. That means that the whole number part is 9. Then we need to do that whole number part times the number outside, and we get 18. We subtract. 19 minus 18 is 1. So we have a remainder of 1. So 19 over 2 is 9 and 1/2. 19 over 2 is 9 and 1/2. Let's look at number 3. On number 3, we have 36 over 10. That means we need to take 10 and divide it into 36. Well, 10, we should be able to look at that and see that 10 goes into 36 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. Then when we subtract 36 minus 30, we get 6. And so the remainder part is 6. So this gives us 3 and 6 tenths. 3 and 6 tenths. But that is not reduced. 6 tenths is not reduced. So the whole number part stays the same, but we know that we can take 6 and divide it by 2, and 10 and divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. We get 3 and 3/5. All right. Let's look at number 4. Number 4 is 75 over 12. 75 over 12. I want you to do this one. I want you to do this one. And put your answer in the chat. 75 over 12. I will give you a hint. This one you've got to reduce. You have to do some reducing at the end. So we're converting 75 over 12. Okay, the correct answer is 6 1/4. Let's see how we did that. So we need to take 12 and divide it into 75. So when we take 75 divided by 12, we get 6.2. 0.25. That means the whole number part is 6. So then I take 6 times 12, and we get 72. So 6 times 12 is 72. When we subtract, we get 3. So we have a remainder of 3. So 75/12 is 6. That's our whole number part. The denominator is 12, and the numerator is the remainder, which is 3. 3/12 is not reduced. We can divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, and we get 6. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 6 1/4. All right. Let's skip down now to the next section. In the next section, we are adding mixed numbers, adding and subtracting. No, just adding. So number 1 on the new section down there, on the second page, we have 4 2/3 plus 4 1/6. Okay. When we are adding mixed numbers, we need to do the fractional part and the whole number part. Well, before we can do the fractional part, we've got to have a common denominator. So 4 2/3, I need to change so that it has the same denominator as the other mixed number. If I have a 3 and a 6 as my denominators, my common denominator is 6. So just like our rules for adding fractions, when we add those fractions, we have to have the same denominator, even when we're working with mixed numbers. So this 3, to turn it into 6, we would multiply by 2, take the top and multiply by 2, and we get 4. And then on the bottom, we already have 6. So our fractional part, 4/6 1/6, gives us 5/6. And the whole number parts, 4 and 4, give us 8. So our answer is 8 5/6. 8 5/6. All right, number 2, we have 4 3/8 plus 9 5/16. Okay, I cannot add these fractional parts together yet because I do not have a common denominator. So I'm going to write 4 and 9, and my common denominator, if I have 8 and 16, my common denominator is 16. So this fraction didn't have to change. But this fraction, we've got to convert 3/8 into the equivalent fraction. And so when we take 8 and multiply it by 2, we get 16. So we have to take 3 and multiply it by 2 and get 6. Now we can add the fractional parts. 6/16 and 5/16 is 11/16. And the whole number parts, 9 and 4, give us 13. So we get 13 11/6. Okay. Number 3. On number 3, we have 4 2/3 plus 6 5/6. All right. We do not have a common denominator. I've got to have a common denominator before I can add the fractional parts. What is the common denominator for 3 and 6? The common denominator for 3 and 6. So we want the smallest number that 3 goes into and 6 goes into. Smallest number that 3 goes into and that 6 goes into. Okay, the common denominator is 6. So the bottom one, we don't need to change anything. It's already in 6. But for our 2/3, 3 changed into 6. We multiplied by 2. Multiply by 2 on the top, and we get 4/6. Okay? Now we can add the fractional parts. 4/6 and 5/6 is 9/6, and 4 and 6 is 10. Well, I see 2 problems, 2 issues. What's the first issue that you see? Because I cannot leave that as my answer. That is an incorrect answer because there are 2 things that need to be done. Okay, that is one of the things. Yes, ma'am. It can be reduced. Okay. All right, so let's do that. If we're going to reduce this, we divide by 3 and divide by 3. We get 10, and our fraction is 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. But now there's still another problem. We still have an issue. Correct. It's an improper fraction. 3/2 is an improper fraction. So what this really is, 3 halves is really 1 and 1/2. So if we take that 1 and 1/2 and add it to the 10, we get 11 and 1/2. So we have to change that improper fraction into a mixed number. All right, let's jump down to the next section where we have some subtraction problems, and let's look at number 1 in the subtraction area. 7 2/3. Okay, when we reduced this fraction and ended up with 3/2, we can't leave an improper fraction inside of a mixed number. So 3 halves is really 1 and 1/2. And so that then needs to be added back to the 10, which gives us 11 1/2. You cannot leave an improper fraction inside of a mixed number. You've got to change that. So we always have to reduce, and we always have to look to see if we have an improper fraction. Okay. So number 1 on the subtraction area, we got 7 2/3, and we're going to subtract 3 2/4. 7 2/3 minus 3 2/4. Okay. We need a common denominator. What is our common denominator for 3 and 4? What's the smallest number that 3 and 4 will go into? Smallest number that 3 and 4 will go into. So we're looking for our common denominator, and that's correct. The common denominator is 12. So now I need to look at how do I change 2/3 into 12ths? Well, I have to take the 3 and multiply it by 4 to get 12. Whatever I do on the bottom, I must do on the top, and I get 8/12. Okay. On the bottom, we took 4, turn it into 12, you multiply by 3. If you do that on the bottom, you must do that on the top. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. Now we can do the fractional part. And you have to be careful when you're doing the problem in the stacked format. You've got to remember whether you're doing addition or, in this case, we're doing subtraction. So we have, with our fractional part, we have 8/12 minus 6/12, which gives us 2/12. And we have 7 minus 3, which is 4. But the 2/12 is not reduced. We can divide the top and bottom of this by 2, and we get 4, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we get 4 and 1/6 as our answer. Okay, let's look at number 2 in that group. We have 9 and 2/5 minus 1 and 3/30. 9 and 2/5 minus 1 and 3/30. What is my common denominator? So we're looking for the smallest number that 5 and 30 go into. Okay, so yes, the correct answer, we're looking to change these into 30ths. So 2/5 changed into 30ths. To take 5 and turn it into 30, we multiply by 6. So if we do that on the bottom, we have to do that on the top and get 12. This is already 3/30ths, so we don't have to change it. And now we need to remember we're doing subtraction. So I've got 12/30ths minus 3/30ths. And if you take 3 from 12, you get 9. And 1 minus 9 minus 1 is 8. But the 9/30ths is not reduced. So we need to see that the number that goes into 9 and 30 is 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So the thing you need to remember about adding and subtracting mixed numbers. The whole number parts we don't need to worry about. It's the fractions that we got to make sure we have a common denominator. And the other thing is to be careful when you're doing subtraction and then not do all of this work over here and end up writing down, oh, that's 10 because I'm adding it together, and this is 15 because you got to look and make sure that you're doing addition or subtraction. All right, we got a lot today. Y'all had it kind of easy a little bit. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. And now we've got multiplication. So when I have 2 1/4 times 2 1/5, when you are multiplying and dividing mixed numbers, you cannot just multiply the fractions and multiply the whole number parts. It doesn't work. We have to change these back into improper fractions. So 2 1/4 becomes 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9/4 times 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11/5. And just like we did last week, we need to look and see, before we just straight multiply the tops and bottoms, look to see if are any factors that are in common. 9 is 3 times 3. 11 is just 11 times 1. 4 is 2 times 2, but 5 is just 5 times 1. There is no common factor in the top and bottom. So on the top, we get 99, and on the bottom, we get 20. But we can't leave improper fractions as answers. So I have to do 20 into 99. So I need to do, on my calculator, 99 divided by 20. So when we do 99 divided by 20, we get 4.95. So that means 20 goes into 99 4 times. 4 times 20 is 80. So here I don't really need to use a calculator anymore, because I can do 4 times 20 and get 80, and then subtract and get 19. So 99/20 is 4 and 19/20. So the only part we're doing that's new is dealing with the mixed number and improper fraction part. That's the only thing new. Everything else is the same that we did for all last week and on Tuesday. Nothing new. Nothing new. Let's look at number 2 in this section. We have 2 1/2 times 2 2/3. 2 1/2 times 2 2/3. We have to change to improper fractions. 2 1/2, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5/2, times 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8/3. Now, before I multiply, I can do 40 over 6, but then I'm going to have to reduce. I see that I have a 2 in the bottom, and 8 has a 2 in it. It's 4 times 2. So the top is really 5 times 2 times 4. 5 times 2 times 4. The bottom is 2 times 3. The 2's divide out. Now we have 5 times 4 is 20 over 3. 20 over 3 is an improper fraction, so we need to take 3 and divide it into 20. You may see that that will go 6 times. If you don't need a calculator, don't waste the time. 6 times 3 is 18. We're left with 2. So this becomes 6 2/3. 6 2/3. Let's jump down to the next section where we're doing division. On number 1, we have 2 2/3. 2 2/3 divided by 3 1/2. Multiplying and dividing mixed numbers, you have to change them back to improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8/3, divided by 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7/2. When we divide fractions, we keep, change, flip. On the top, we have 8 and 2. On the bottom, we have 3 and 7. There isn't any common factor on the top that would also be in the bottom, because 8 is 4 times 2. There aren't any 2s or 4s down in the bottom. There aren't any 3s or 7s up at the top. So we just do the multiplication. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 7 is 21. 16 over 21 is a proper fraction. We can leave it. 16 is 8 times 8 times 2. 21 is 3 times 7, just as we saw here. So that does not reduce. Okay, I'm going to jump to number 3. Number 3 is 4 1/5 divided by 2 7/10. 4 1/5 divided by 2 7/10. So the first fraction we need to convert to an improper fraction. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 5, divided by, then we need to take and change this to an improper fraction. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 7 is 27 over 10. When we're dividing fractions, we keep, change, flip. Okay? Now, I see that I have some common factors because 21 is 3 times 7, 10 is 2 times 5. 27 is 9 times 3. So on the top, I'm going to write 3 times 7 times 2 times 5. There's my 21. There's my 10. Why take and multiply 21 times 10 and then 5 times 27 and then turn around and reduce out the common factor? Let's do it ahead of time. On the bottom, I have 5 times 9 times 3. So I can cross out the common factor of 5, the common factor of 3. On the top, I get 7 times 2 is 14 over 9. I saved myself a lot of work, but 14 over 9 is an improper fraction. So we need to come over here and divide 9 into 14. 9 will go into 14 once. When you subtract 9 from 14, you get 5. So we have 1 with a remainder of 5. 1 with a remainder of 5 ninths. 1 5 ninths. So it seems like it's a lot, but it's really not. We're doing the same thing that we have done. All we've added to it is that we have some improper fractions and some mixed numbers. So here is a sheet that I want you to work on. Let me pull it up so that you see what it looks like. And I have some specific instructions, so do not start yet. Do not start yet. I'm going to tell you what I want you to do. All right, the first one was the number 4 in multiplication, 3 1/3 times 1 4/10. When we have mixed numbers, we cannot multiply them. We have to change them back to improper fractions. 3 times 3 is 9, times 1 is 10 thirds, times 10 times 1 is 10, plus 4 is 14 tenths. Okay, well, right away I can see that I've got a 10 on the top and the bottom. So I have 10 times 14 and 3 times 10. The 3's divide out. We're left with 14 over 3. And that's an improper fraction. So we divide 3 into 14. It'll go 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 4 with a remainder of 2. So there's our 4 2/3. On number 3, 3 on the division. We cannot divide when we are working with mixed numbers. So 3 times 10 is 30, plus 1 is 31 tenths, divided by 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11 fourths. We're dividing, so we keep, change, flip, and I see that there's a 2 up here and a 2 down here. So on the top, I have 13 times 2 times 2. And on the bottom, I have 2 times 5 times 11. One of the 2's up here divides out with one of the 2's here. 13 times 2 is 26. 5 times 11 is 55. And you put 13, not 31. Oh, thank you. Thought something looked weird. So that should be 31. So at the top up here, we don't have 30. We don't have 13. We have 62. So I need to take 55 and divide it into 62. It will go once. And so we get 7. So this is 1 with a remainder of 7 55ths. Let's see, that looks better. All right, number 3. Number 3 on the multiplication, 2.5 times 3 4/5. When we're multiplying mixed numbers, we have to change to improper fractions. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 halves, times 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19 fourths. Nope, fifths. 19 fifths. So the 5's are going to divide out. We're left with 19 over 2. And 2 will go into 19. 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So we end up with 9 1/2. And then for the fractions, if we're going to take 5 2/8 and add 2 4/10, I'm going to do it with the stack method. I need a common denominator first. And so if I have 8 and 10, my common denominator is 40. If I don't see that right away, then I need to do my multiples chart of 8, my multiples chart of 10, and I would get down here to where there was a 40 in both of those. To change 8 into 40ths, I multiply 8 times 5, and then multiply the top here by 5. We get 10 40ths. To change 4 tenths into 40ths, we multiply the 10 by 4. 10 times 4 is 40. Whatever we do on the bottom, we do on the top. 4 times 4 is 16. Then I add 5 and 2 and get 7. 10 and 16 is 26 40ths, but 26 40ths is not reduced. So that should be 7 and 26 40ths. The top and bottom, I know I can divide 2 into those. And so I get 7 and 26 divided by 2 is 13. 40 divided by 2 is 20. And so there's my 7 and 13 20ths. Okay. And then the last two where we were simplifying, so I had 1,115 divided by 125. I could go ahead and change that into a mixed number, but I'm going to do some simplifying first. I know 5 goes into both of those because they both end in 5. And so if numbers end in 5, then they are divisible by 5. So 1,115 divided by 5 is 23. Nope, that's not right. 1,115 divided by 5 is 223. And 125 divided by 5 is 25. All right. So we need to now take 25 and divide it into 223. So 223 divided by 25 is 8.92. So I know 25 goes into there 8 times. So I need to do 8 times 25. And I get 200. Subtract and I get 23. So there's my whole number. There's my denominator. The remainder is 23. 8 and 23 25ths. And the last one to reduce was 28 over 40. I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 2 first. 28 divided by 2 is 14. 40 divided by 2 is 20. I can divide by 2 again. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 20 divided by 2 is 10. I get 7/10.
If you liked this video, please click on the thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please click on the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when new videos are posted, please click the bell.